I don't think you ever sent it.
I shared it with you, if I need to share it with you again, or I can just.
We'll just log into this computer.
Yeah, that works. Sorry, technical difficulties, right? I was gonna have students here, but Thursday night is a track meet, so none of them are able to come. But Robert, I don't know what I'm doing. Magic thing to turn this.
It's down in the black box underneath.
Oh, man.
It's
Oh, the computer's not on.
Well, I'm gonna explain to you, I promise it's full, Mr. Booth.
It's really cool.
Um,
If somebody's not staring at you, do you want us to go?
Well,
And I can like report out what you asked me to do, so we're not just putting more pressure on you?
Yes, go right ahead, and I'm sorry, I apologize, I promise I got something.
I mean, I can go just to jump to mine, wanted to highlight again that there is a tentative agreement with our VVEA in Van Buren Local Schools for 3 years with a teaching contract. Was done in 2 days. It was very productive. It was really smooth and dare I say almost enjoyable to do that. So it's good and it worked out well. Also, Ms. Williams, you asked me about our communication plan that we have started here. So Cassie is still doing our website currently. Our social media is now under Ms. Maggie Morehart, who also works with Finley University and does a lot of their social media and questionnaires. And she is devising some questionnaires for our current seniors to have just an input on their time here so we can put that together. There's also going to be, she's in charge of our quarterly updates now. She's also doing our dashboard. So it shows data on our quest. So it shows exactly what progress has been made. And she's in charge also of our interns with our social media. When it comes to texting and communication with families, it's still my main responsibility. So it's kind of in transition to move. Cassie wanted to have some control still. So her and Maggie are in communication and meeting and transferring that information as we speak.
Can I ask one question on that then?
Yes.
Is there a primary person that's on every other social media account, like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook? I know that building principals have their own accounts, athletics have their own accounts. Is there one universal person that is a co-administrator of all of those accounts?
It's Maggie and,
Okay.
and Cassie is doing that. And our goal is to bring athletics under our umbrella and not have them out on their own.
Okay.
So that's kind of the update with that moving forward.
So just one message out there. all the
Correct.
time.
That's the goal. Any more time? I think you.
I just was.
Actually started. I was all in my head working way better than this, right? Robert, any ideas?
What are you doing?
The sound over here. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Shaw, report please.
Yeah, I have nothing to add to the high school report or the high school highlights. Any questions?
No. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
VBEA highlights, I guess since we. Happy to hear that we have a contract agreed upon, so that's great. Teaching and learning reports. John?
Sorry.
Bumped it.
Are you ready? Do you want
I
to talk
apparently
about this?
am ready, so I did not mean to do that.
Oh, no, no.
I apologize. So, sorry, I have to say back here, but, so if you guys, read in the board report, over the month of March, we did a ton of different activities in the middle school, a lot of which were geared towards, Disabilities Awareness Month, which is the month of March. So we did some different activities with that, but we also did activities that just kind of benefited all in the community is kind of what we wanted to look at. We wanted to look at different things that would benefit students or individuals from any situation. So within that, we created 35 blankets for Project Linus, which go toward individuals who are homeless, hospitalized children, abuse victims. It goes all over the county and into surrounding counties. So we donated 35 blankets. It was one of the largest donations they received this year. So that was really exciting. The University of Findlay came in and taught sign language to our 8th grade students. Rally Cap came in and worked with our 8th grade students. They do, it's a sports oriented program, either way with students with special needs. But I feel like the biggest impact that has now carried into April and into May and will carry into future years is our collaboration with our ESC classrooms, which I don't know how much has ever been done before, but we have spent now going on, 8 weeks, that we have continued our experiences there. So students were just there on Wednesday, but this is a little video to kind of show, because like I said, I had 2 students that wanted to come and talk. Track meet kind of got in the way. So hopefully this kind of gives you guys a good depiction of what we did.
If this life is one act, why do we lay all these tracks? We put them right in our path, and we just wanna be free. I will not waste my days making up all kinds of ways to worry about all the things that will not happen to me. So I just let go of what I know I don't know, and I know I only do this by living in the moment, living my life, easy and breezy, peace in my mind, peace in my heart, peace in my soul, wherever I go, I'm already home, living in the moment.
My favorite things I did was Easter egg hunt, and the binoculars.
Very cool. What did you do? Very cool. What did you use the binoculars for?
To find the animals.
So going over the elementary, I felt I got a strong connection with these kids and the pure happiness on their faces as we got to make the binoculars. I just felt like I connected with them in a way that I get like connection with few people. So I really enjoyed the experience and I hope to do more of it in the future.
I enjoyed meeting the kids personally, and I liked seeing how much fun they had when we walked into the room to do stuff with them.
My favorite thing is making those first.
Meeting the kids, they were really fun, and on Fridays we do special things and we all have like the same connection. It's just really fun to like be with all the kids.
Hot chocolate.
Do you like the hot chocolate? Yeah, what did you put in your hot chocolate? Marshmallows? Did you have any sprinkles or anything in yours? Just marshmallows? But you had fun?
Yes.
Yeah, did you like the Easter egg hunt?
Yes.
Yeah, what'd you get in the Easter eggs? Very cool.
After, we were done, he was like, wanted to do like a dance thing, so we just all dance together, and then I got like
that was, their experiences. And like I said, the kids are the ones that asked after April was over. They said, can we do another rotation? And I now have 2 of the girls that are on there. They spend every single study hall down in Mrs. Brown's classroom. They now become classroom aides down there. I have a couple that want to go over into the elementary for next year, and this rotation is not going to start in March next year, which right now I need to find a team because right now I'm creating all these activities and I don't have the energy. I don't know what else to do. So I need a team next year that needs to figure this out for me. But it's going to start in August and we're just going to make it happen all year. So it was a very cool thing.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
What a good experience.
Now that you've softened us all up.
Right, now you can talk about the fun stuff, right?
Awesome, thank you.
Okay,
Um,
Mr. Kelly.
I have nothing to add to my report. I'm happy to answer any questions.
How are you gonna top that?
Right? Where's your video? Yeah, where's your video? What little kid and stuff.
I know, and I had a lot of time to do ones.
Athletics Facility Director, your technology, Robert, any?
Nothing to report.
Any questions for Robert? No? And special education report, no questions. I'm just gonna go off this. If you guys have questions, just let me know. And gifted report, no. And then Brian, anything else to add?
No.
Okay, so on to superintendent standing committee reports, personnel.
Laura and I met and we have a plan, so once we have people in place, we will start executing them.
Audit and finance,
We've not met.
is that something that should be going soon? Or-
Yeah, we'll have one before probably the next meeting because of the 5-year forecast, so that's kind of
Okay.
hinted at in the treasurer's report.
Coming, stay tuned.
Transportation and facilities,
Yeah, we met March 25th, reviewed the permanent improvement tracker spreadsheet. Talked a lot about some summer projects, cafeteria roof, the remainder of the PM inspection of the roof. Talked about the gym floor, which I think we're gonna hold off on that. And then talked about continuing to do carpet replacement. There was a question about the water meter here, and Mr. May is helping us with that. I appreciate your being on the committee. And the buses, the DOE bus grant, thank you for getting that grant, and I think that's equating to roughly $45,000 per bus. So I think we overwhelmingly in the committee said we need to find the dollars to take full advantage of that. So that would be Dawn's challenge.
When will we need to take action on the items for summer? Like, will those contracts come up for the board, or is it just coming out of that committee and that's enough?
Yeah, there'll be recommendations. I anticipate some items will be on the date. Yeah, we actually talked about that today.
and then the next facilities meeting is coming up.
Is it 13th?
Yeah, I think so, May 13th.
Yeah, it's been great that it's monthly and keep on
Yeah.
it, so.
For sure. Okay, and athletics.
All righty. Madam President, I'll take the double duty this.
You are indeed. Thank you.
So we did meet yesterday. Some of us met Zoom, some of us were in person. The topic of discussion is old business number 2 with the supplemental contracts. The committee as a whole, reviewed all the information at hand. We had a great discussion. I think Brian can correct me if I'm wrong, but the committee's recommendation is going to be to move forward with the 2 additional supplemental contracts. So we are recommending that we approve number 2 in old business as a committee. I think moving forward that this is a good spot to continue to have these discussions in the committee and make the recommendations to the board. And I appreciate everyone's patience while we work through it.
And do we have the 3 community members?
We
They were
did.
Good. That's
We
excellent.
did. We did, we had a full committee, so that was
That's awesome.
fantastic. And they actually, well, no, one was Zoom, two of them were here, so.
District and school policies.
So we did have a meeting. I will say, going over the reports when we get to that item for the first read, I will give you the summaries of all of those policies from that standpoint.
Student achievement and legislative liaison, that would be me. I'm still trying to get OSBA to give some love to our school store. And I haven't heard anything back. I sent them all the information, hoping they'd highlight it, but haven't heard anything, so I will, I think Kim is the one that does this, so I will email her again. And then as far as the legislative liaison, you know, the backpack bill is still something out there, and then House Bill 616 is a new one that has been introduced, and it's really affecting LGBTQI folks that attend our schools, and also family members of that community and staff members as well. So we're keeping an eye on that and see, hopefully if it doesn't pass, but if it does, then we'll have to see what we can do about that. And curriculum.
Curriculum, I think Ms. Schaefer put in her report that she will be working on getting another meeting together for the first quarter. So it has not been set, but we will give a report once that happens.
Okay, so under old business, the first one is approval of amendment to treasurer's contract. Second one is supplemental contract, and we can just do a motion for both. We have to do a motion for separate. Okay. I answered my own
I
question.
put it on there separately. You
Yeah.
can-
We can do
can
something,
it.
that's fine. So for number one, approval of amendment to treasurer's contract.
I'll make the motion to approve.
I'll second.
And so the motion is approval of amendment to treasurer's contract, and roll call, please.
Mr. Fisher,
Yes,
Mr. Lightfoot,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas. Yes. Ms. Sebright. Yes. Ms. Williams.
Yes, motion passes. Number two, supplemental contract discussion to original resolution number 22-019 and resolution number 22-026 with possible action.
I'll make the motion to approve the two extra supplemental positions. I believe it was in 22-0119. Or 019, excuse me.
Do I have a second? Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, so the motion is supplemental contract discussion to original resolution 19 and 26. Roll call, please.
Mr. Fisher,
Yes,
Mr. Lightfoot,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Sebright. Yes. Ms. Williams.
Yes, motion carries. New business, treasurer's report and financial items. So we have number 1 through 6.
make the motion.
And then the motion on the table is to approve treasurer's report financial items 1 through 6. Any discussions?
I've given you, I've given you quite a bit tonight. I mean, I can skip it if you. If you want to move right on to the vote, I'm okay with that too. There's some things I can talk about tonight and some things I can't. As you know, the audit was forwarded to all of you. It is still a confidential document. If you had time to read through that, you did see that we still have that same issue noted in the audit that we had discussed at an earlier date. It is not anything at this point that we need to do anything with. So we have negotiated it down to just simply a comment in the audit. My issue with that is that the auditors have cited the wrong legislation and the wrong law that the league was provided that employee is listed in the audit. So for $274, they worked through their legal department. We worked through our legal department. The amount of money that was spent on that one single issue was far more than $274, but they felt they need to dig their heels in on that one. So it is a management comment, but according to the phone call I received from the auditor, we need to do that. So in this realm, that was a win. So that's the best that we're gonna get out of this one. So the rest of the audit, I believe, was pretty great. When we're able to talk about the whole thing, I'm more than happy to, discuss specific issues that anybody has with other parts of the audit. So we'll do that most likely at a later date. Another item that I wanted to bring to your attention is that the Tax Incentive Review Council did meet, and I did attend that meeting on Van Buren's behalf. The most important thing that came out of that meeting is that Home Depot is now back on the tax rolls. So they'll be collecting this year. So by next calendar year, we should be receiving, the anticipation right now is between 250 and 300,000 additional dollars from the taxes that will be generated from that facility. So that's good news for us. The 5-year forecast, we've spent the last few weeks in preparation of that. We still have some items that are still up in the air. We're still kind of fussing around with that new foundation formula. Our foundation payments have been all over the place. So I did talk with Cindy Ritter just last week, and she said, I need to investigate a few things before we finalize anything for the foundation side. So once we get that nailed down, we'll take another look at it, and then it'll be prepared and ready for you to review for the May meeting. And we'll meet the deadline to file that with the state by May 31st. We do have some new cases for the Board of Revision. As you remember, that's still one of the bills that's moving through the legislature. They have not found this to be illegal at this point for us to file those complaints based on most recent property sales. So we do have a handful that we can file for. And so we'll, I just want to make a note that none of the cases that we file have anything to do with private residences. So I'll keep you posted as we move through that process. That's going to be within the next couple of months here. The only other item from the financial report, I'm really thrilled with the results that we're seeing thus far. I was hoping that I would see the income tax payment for April. That should be coming up here. So, but I haven't seen what that amount is yet. I know the income tax has been coming in a little short from where we had initially received the projections from the State Department of Taxation. So I'm kind of anxious to see how that plays out for the April payment. So I'll keep you posted as we move through that process. But as we're sitting right now, I still have a pretty reasonable level of contingency, and I'm still seeing a reasonable amount of carryover into next school year. So we'll keep an eye on those operating funds as we move through the next few months here. Moving on to other items, we did receive almost $4,200 in donations this month to the high school support fund, to the class of 2023 fund. That is going to be used for the post-prom that's coming up, probably sooner than we would think, but it's coming quick. We did have some donations for FFA as well as vocal music for the musical and drama. We do have a few contracts as well. Ohio School Comp, we do have a workers' comp group rating program. I know that you're used to seeing that on an annual basis. It's time to renew. So I did go out and check a couple of different folks, Shakely as well as Sedgwick. And this is the best rating program for us this year. We've had a pretty reasonable claim history over the past few years, so we're looking favorable in that department as of right now. We also do have the Hancock County Educational Service Center contracts. This is digital school, alternative learning, preschool enrichment programs, special education services, and also TESOL. English as a second language is what I remember, but I know they keep changing the acronym on me, so I'm showing my age right now. And then the last one is K-12 consulting, not to exceed $12,000 for the superintendent search. We do have a few local grants that we received. We have a makerspace project, 3D printing in the STEAM classroom, data-driven instruction, STEM Learning Network classroom grant, FFA spring semester, Long Living to Serve grant, and also a Casey STEM grant. So I'm really thrilled that folks in the buildings are reaching out to local people and are able to actually provide that. Also a budget and purpose clause for the high school Key Club. I know that Kevin and Brian have discussed that with you in the past, and we have a stellar student that's been the driving force behind that club, so I'm glad to see this move forward. And the last one, we've got the then and now. Unfortunately, we received quite a bit after the fact purchase orders from the musical. So I'm allowed to approve up to $3,000, and you see we just went past that. So I wanted to make sure that these got in front of you, and these could be approved for payment to finish the bills that were attached to the musical. And that's all I have for you this evening.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, concerns for Dawn? Okay, would you like to call the roll for the motion approving treasury report items 1 through 6, please?
Mr. Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Lightfoot?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Ebright?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes, motion carries. Next, we have superintendent's recommendations, number 1 through 50. No. Number 1 through 9. Seems like 50. Okay, can I get a motion, please?
Second.
So the motion is to approve the superintendent's recommendation 1 through 9.
Okay, we're gonna kind of jump around, come back to number 1, but starting with number 2 is just typical non-renewal of non-certified extracurriculars supplementals. Number 3 is certified personnel. And like, advisors, class advisors, things like that. We do have under number 5, we have another substitute bus driver. Thank you, Mr. Kelly, for continually looking for bus drivers and also finding another substitute custodian. And I also wanted to point out, since she's here, Miss Tammy Prowson over there, under number 6, has come up with a phenomenal summer, a library summer read program. And it is really intense. It is really cool. And I thank you for putting so much time and effort into it, because these kids are going to benefit greatly from your passion and desire and your persistence. So thank you for being willing to do that for the students. Also, number 7, we have found another English teacher, Roman Williams. And I have, thank you, Mr. Schaup. He is here for number 9. I wanted to address that first in case there was questions around these long-term graduation requirement local seals. So if you didn't read Mr. Schaup or haven't talked to him yet, he is here if there's any questions with that.
Is this in addition to the seals that were sent home on that flyer? Yeah.
No. The back of it had the 12, the
Yeah.
bottom 3
Or
are the
additional?
locally defined ones that are on the agenda for today.
Okay,
Does that answer your question?
yes.
The top 9 are state determined. We
Okay.
have 0 say, that's what the state said we have.
How are we communicating that to parents so that they understand all of this?
This was sent to all parents with the course description guide when we went through that process. To be honest with you, it wasn't until this year. I feel like we've communicated it pretty heavily to parents and students. I went in every single classroom as we went through the scheduling process with kids. I then met with parents and students of current 8th graders coming into high school next year, obviously. I went through this process with them, and we'll continue to have this conversation regularly.
And who's keeping track of whether they're meeting these obligations?
We're using a program called Transio that's monitored by myself, Mr. Zinder, Mr. Brock, Ms. Schaefer. Essentially, the students are, to answer your question, but Transio has been a little slow getting up and running. It's a community-wide program or a county-wide program. So to get everybody on the same page with that has been frustratingly slow, to be honest. But that's the program we're going to use to track this.
Thank you, Mr. Schauck, for being here and answering any questions. And then under number 1, we do have several resignations, Mr. Bowman, Mrs. Bovary, Jolene Johnston, and of course myself. And I just want to take a few moments to thank the board for the opportunity to serve as the superintendent of Van Buren. It's been awesome. I appreciate your support while I was here. It is a phenomenal school district with so many great people in it. And I will be happy to help with any way I can with the transition. But again, thank you for the opportunity to serve. And that's it.
Well, as speaking as your president, we want to thank you also for all the help that you've given us in the direction that you led the district, and we're very sad to see you. So we wish you all the luck.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
There's something, Tammy Routson, congratulations on your election.
Oh, yeah, thank you. I'm here on other things, but for the library thing, but thank you.
Okay, any other discussions, questions?
I just want to say thank you for what you've done here for Van Buren. Also, thank you for your guidance and being a new board member, trying to learn the ropes and that. And I appreciate it every time I reached out to you. You've been very helpful. You guided me through it, and I thank you for that. So good luck in your next adventure. I'm definitely keeping your cell phone number.
Be happy to figure it out. Thank you.
Anything else?
I know I don't get to vote, but I'm not getting this for.
Feelings.
Okay, so motion is to approve superintendent's recommendations number 1 through 9. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Fisher.
Yes.
Mr. Lundberg.
Yes.
Ms. Carroll. Yes. Ms. Sebright.
Yes.
Ms. Lynn.
Yes. And motion passes. So for board today's discussion, we have the first reading of the following policies.
Yeah, so as everyone's aware, first read, it gives everyone a chance to look over them. So just give a quick summary of what we have here. 16 that is the dress code for the administrative staff. We did not have that policy, so that is a new one. It mirrors the only policy that we had currently for dress code, which is for the teaching staff. So 16 now puts that same requirements to administrators in that regards. So 2271 is College Credit Plus. That's a state required adjustment to it. Pretty much to summarize what that is saying is if you are over the age of 18 and take College Credit Plus and you are male, you have to be registered for the draft in order for the state to pay that. If you choose not to register for the draft, which is technically illegal, your family will be responsible for the payment, no matter what your grade is for College Credit Plus. So it's more of a legal thing. Yeah, don't just do what you're supposed to, and it's okay. But it was we now had to put it into the policy from that standpoint. 4216, I have to confirm with Mr. Bloom on. That is the staff and dress code addition, and that was for the non-certified, and you were gonna talk to make sure they were okay with that before we took it officially, so
And now that we have a change, we'll have to have another discussion
anyway.
with the incoming president.
I don't think it's anything outlandish, so, but I know, exactly, so that one might come off in reading 2 or 3. So I was surprised to see it. 5772 is a weapons policy. This is the definition of weapons, and it's for students, and it matches what we have for currently approved for employees. So when it comes to the definition of weapons and things like that, that one along with 7217, which deals with the public, it all gets the same verbiage as what definitions are for both employees, students, and the public. There will be, just as everyone wants to know this, there'll be more information that'll come on the whole concealed carry because rules have changed, but nothing to do with that right now, but that is something that'll come up in the policies later on. 6110, this was one that was legally required, but something that Don was already doing, and my notes are horrible and I can't read it when it comes to it. It had to do with grant funding. And I think it was the maintenance and how it's documented, but Dawn had talked with our policies person. It was something they were already doing, and we were kind of happy to not policy on it. But 6134, or sorry, 61, mine don't match right now, 6114, spending federal funds. What that's saying is there's now a list of known companies that use malware. And we can't use federal funds to partner with any of those. So there's a list out there that mainly this is geared towards our IT and who they use, but we can't use federal funds to do those. We're probably not using any of those companies anyway, but this made it any federal funds cannot be used for it. 6325 was the same thing. This was the procurement of federal grants and funds. Pretty much you can't use any of those funds for those same companies. So it is a federal requirement that we have that in the policy. 6432, use of credit cards. Pretty much this is something that our treasurer was doing already, and it is something the auditors wanted to see in a policy. So now it's in a policy. Pretty much what it is she controls all the credit cards. If you lose a credit card, you have to report it to the treasurer, and then she takes care of contacting the credit card company and doing all of the fun things that go along with lost credit cards. So this is something the auditors wanted to see, something you were probably already doing, but now it is in a policy, so we have to follow it. As I mentioned, 7217 is just weapons, and that is for visitors. And then 8500 is food service related. What that deals with now is you do not need a medical excuse for milk alternatives. Your parents or guardians can write a note that says my child needs to have a milk alternative, and then they have to provide that milk alternative. We don't have to, but we can accept a note from a parent that says my kid needs to be on a milk alternative, rather than it used to be a requirement that you had a medical provider's note that said there was a medical need there. So it's just a little bit of a change, nothing major. I don't think that will be a problem, but that is what we have. The other one that's in the folder that's not on this list is still just dealing with what we want to do with the public involvement for board policy or for participation at a board meeting. So the revisions that they recommended are still in that folder for everyone to review, and we can make changes accordingly. It's not on this first read,
They're
so.
not in the folder.
Yeah,
That one is not in the folder.
which number?
It's
Thought it was-
Oh, okay.
It might be in a different folder than the
It's in-
general policy.
It might be in the old folder, which
I
is.
thought I saw it when I looked, but he said he was gonna load it, but,
I went through them as you went, and it's not.
okay. We'll get it loaded there. Plus it wasn't in this first read, so we'll have to have a first read on it anyway, but we still have that policy that's outstanding, in that regard, so. That's I can try to entertain any questions, but that was the brief discussion that we had. Once again, there wasn't anything that was really up for discussion. Pretty much everything was either state or federal requirement when it comes to adjustments.
Did we ever get an esports policy?
They,
Justin ever send us one?
they did, our company we partner with did not have one in their quote unquote portfolio. So it was gonna be something that we had to make up, and I did not see any templates from anyone, so it was gonna be something that Laura and I would have to do completely from
I'm
scratch.
sure Justin was looking at like the other schools to see, but we never got anything back from him about it.
That was my understanding. We were on the
Yeah.
committee together, yes. Yeah, but I had not received anything from that school.
Are we still doing esports? Then you were on that when we were talking about doing esports.
I don't know where we're at with that.
We'll take that as an action item, bring it to the committee.
Yeah, it'd be good to follow up on that, because that's been like a long time now. Since we've been trying to do this. So,
I can reach out to some other treasurers to see if they have policies on the books.
yeah, that'd be great. Because I think where you came from, Jen, right?
Carrie has a really
Carrie.
active program.
And
And
then
then
I think
Justin was talking to the administrator there. I don't know what has progressed, but I do know there was conversations.
Okay, awesome, thank you. Okay,
The only other thing I have before we go into executive session is just, it'll be at the May meeting that we will have certificates, but I would just ask that we might contact. So the annual, business honor roll, that we participated in. We were, the individuals nominated for Van Buren Local Schools, which will receive the award and be recognized at the May meeting, was the Gordon Food Service of Finley, as well as the Great Scott Community Markets. So if anyone wants to see if they would be willing, the way the information reads, there should be certificates that come and be available for your May board meeting. So hopefully, that's what it's been. I think it was May that we've done it when we actually did it in the past, when we offered to the team. So I don't know if we want to reach out just so they're aware, that it might be something that we could do in that regard. So that's all I got. Sorry. I know that didn't go in there, but I just wanted to
no, yeah,
throw it out there before.
yeah. Okay. So next is, we're gonna be going into executive session to discuss the employment and compensation of an employee or public official per Ohio Revised Code 121 or .22. And I don't believe that we are voting on anything in executive session, so we shouldn't be doing anything other than going into executive session when we come back out. Okay, can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second, please. All right, so the motion is to go into executive session. Roll call, please.
Mr. Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Lamb?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas? Yes. Ms. Ebright?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes, so going into executive session at 7:46. Thank you all for coming and attending. Okay, well, so we're out of executive,
You can fill in the things, you can.
we're out of executive session at 8:20.
minus one. I make a motion.
Second.
I'm trying to write. Mine first, Andy second. 8:20, okay, let's
Andy
take over.
Fisher,
Yes.
Lightfoot, yes. Thomas.
Absent,
Yes.
yes. Too
Right.
late, yes.
Enjoy.
And
So you're
Williams.
here, okay.
Good job.
Mike,